Hello, everyone. Welcome to Britton's Hangout Hour episode. Again, I've just stopped counting at this point. I am back here with Lezlie from the Nerdy Narrative. How you doing? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's funny. Lezlie is my dad's name. He doesn't like that name, so he goes by Todd instead.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of guys that I know that have their name Lezlie, they go by their middle names. I was actually named for my grandfather, and he was the ninth kid, and his parents had just run out of names, so they're like, "Well, we're gonna name you Leslie Wilson." So he went by Wilson.
All right, Wilson. I like that. Could have been a good pen name if he decided to take writing as a career.
Yeah, I am not gifted in that area at all. Reading that's about the best I can do in that category. I wish I could write. I really do, but I can't. I just can't craft a story. Just
It takes a
I'm one of
particular
those
skill
people.
set.
Yeah,
I get it.
I can't. Like, there's so many clever things authors are able to do, and then they put in all of these clues that point to all this stuff, and I'm that person that never solves the mystery. I
Nah.
fall for all pairings. So
You like going with the flow of the story, I guess.
yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
same way, which is why it irritates me when people are like, "Oh, this is taking too long." I'm just like,
Yeah.
just go with it, you know.
There's a reason it's a book. You're not supposed to get if you got all the answers in the first 30 pages. What's the point of reading the other 300 pages?
Yeah. I mean, if you're compelled enough, I think you could do it. I mean, I'll admit it's funny that didn't you read Razorblade Tears from
I
S.A.
did.
Cosby?
Hmm.
I was reading that, and there's a line in there, and I'm like, oh dear, is this what kind of story this is gonna be? And then like the reveal happened, I was like, oh, oh, it was still a really good. It was still a really good book. But I was like, oh.
I mean, I was crying my eyes out at the end of that one.
Oh no, it's a really good book. I mean, I did a review of it on my channel. It's just like I guessed it, and I was like, oh man.
think and it just may be, you know, how I'm wired, but I get caught up in all of the emotion of what's going on, and sometimes I'm keyed into that, and I'm not paying that much attention to the cues that the author's given us. Where some people are like, "Yeah, I guess it right away," and I'm going, "How?" And I'm probably just distracted by something else because I'm one of those that I can pick up on something and I just focus on that, and then I just kind of miss stuff because I'm just waiting to get back to that one little thing I focused on, which is why I like rereading so much, because I will miss things the first time I read it, sometimes the second time I read it.
I have a hard time with rereading.
Oh man,
There are books I want to reread. I just haven't gotten around to them.
yeah, I'm always rereading something. I reread like 3 books this month are rereads.
Though I did reread No Country for Old Men last month. That was good. So I've been kind of in a slug last couple of months, so that's been fun. But aside from that, I've been doing all right.
I read too many different genres to get caught in a slump.
No, I'm the same way. It just, I don't know, just hasn't been. Also, I started class recently, so that doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be distracting. Because your mind's going, I have all this stuff that I need to be doing and studying.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it hard to just relax and enjoy some good fiction.
Mm-hmm. So, weren't you on Brad Proctor's Discord or something like that? Because I think I remember I have a very specific memory of finding you on there.
Yep, still in it. I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media apps, and that includes Discord. I mean, I'll pop into mine once or twice a day, but I just don't spend a whole lot of time on there anymore. So
Fair enough.
I haven't been over to Brad's Discord in a while. He had stopped filming for a little while and wasn't reading as much, so we didn't have any good books to chat over. But we message here periodically, like online.
Yeah, I've tried getting him on the show. He hadn't responded back to me, but he's a good dude.
Yep.
So when did you start reading? Like when you were a kid, or?
Oh yeah, I've been reading ever since I was a kid. It's just my mom bought me some books. She brought some books home, and I just started reading. And I was reading books faster than they could buy them or could afford to buy them. So my dad started taking me to the library every couple of weeks and letting me load up.
Yeah, no.
It's like, yeah, we can't buy all of these Babysitter Club books and Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys and Sweet Valley High. Like, we're gonna have to find an alternative measure here, so one that we can afford. And I would go every 2 weeks and I would check out as many books as they would let me take home.
Yeah, no, I remember I liked the illustrations first, so I would look at those, and then I started reading the stories that those illustrations were depicting. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool too. So yeah, that's how I got in trouble in school because I kept reading a lot when I probably wasn't supposed to be.
Oh man, I got busted so many times with having a book inside my textbook. Yeah. That's one thing my classmates, if you ask them what they remember most about me, is I always have my nose in a book.
Yeah, no, I get that. Oh, man, there were so many times, like, teachers would get after me for reading or doing something. Because I like doing it a lot, so I don't know.
Yep, I used to buy purses back in the day. This was way before Kindle and digital readers, phones, and all of that fun stuff. My purse requirement was it had to fit at least 2 mass market paperbacks inside, because I was never going to be without a book to read. If I was too close to finishing a book, I was always going to have a spare on hand.
No, I get that. One of the things I like about your channel is that you cover a bunch of genres of books. I do that as well, because I'm just, if I just covered one genre, or if I just read one genre, I would get bored after a while. So, I mean,
well, there's only so many tropes that each one can have, and I don't mind. I will read the same trope over and over and be fine with it, but it's what the author does with that trope. If they make it unique and make it stand out a little bit, make it memorable, or even if it's the same old trope I've read 1,000 times, if they've got really great characters, it can be a character I love or a character I love to hate.
Mm-hmm.
Something about it. And I am so easy to please. As long as you catch my attention with something shiny, you've got me. You've got me.
so you're like a cat in a book's like the red dot. You can you'll just follow it.
But I am a chapter 1 reader. I want you in that first chapter just to give me a taste. Like if it's a horror novel, give me a taste of that fear. What am I got to look forward to? Now, even if you don't get me with chapter 1, I do give the book 20% before I'll DNF, and I do DNF. If you can't catch me in that first 20%, I'm out.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time DNFing.
Oh man, no, I don't. I don't do it often because, like I said, I'm really easy to please. But there's been a few times, and there's been times where it's not actually a DNF; it's a not right now.
Yeah.
I know that I'm being unfair to the book because of something going on with me or my life. Like, you know, my husband was running and he fell and broke his hip.
Oh dear, is he okay?
And, well, yeah, he had to have surgery, and it's getting on 2 years now. And you know, I picked up a book where a character broke it was Stephen King. It was the Bill Mercedes trilogy, and in the second book, the guy had gotten run over and his hip was broken. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait on that for a little while. And then I ended up reading it recently. I'm like, okay, and it was like too soon, and it's just weird how
what a coincidence is just
you can pick up a book like his grandfather got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in April, and then a book I picked up, somebody got diagnosed with lung cancer, and I'm like going, I can't. So it's not anything against that book or the author or anything. I'm just like, this is not a good time for, like, I'm not going to deal with this well. So, and I don't want to project on that book or that author. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put this one to the side. I'm going to pick up something else. Because ultimately, I'm reading to have a good time, to escape from when you have news like that. And it's just like.
You've covered a lot of books on your channel, whether they be fantasy books. I saw you covered Joe Burns' book. I talked with him a month ago, actually. Now I think about it. But that was fun. He's a good dude. He's good people.
He's great.
But yeah, I found you because you were on Brad's Discord, and then you kind of just blew up for whatever reason.
Yeah. I don't even know. Actually, I think it was a Dresden video I did when Peace Talks and Battleground came out.
Oh, the Dresden File books?
I did a video where I did a Dresden Files bingo, where I made a bingo card, just making fun of it, like.
Oh, yeah.
How long, there was a square, like, Harry mouths off to somebody bigger than him, and, just, it was just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody shared that on Reddit, in the Dresden Reddit.
Oh, dear.
And the person who manages Jim Butcher's website was like, hey, can I share this on the website? And I said, sure. And they're like, hey, well, we decided we wanted to do this Dresden bingo thing and let everybody participate, make a card, and then we're going to give away some books to some winners. And they're like, are you cool with that? And I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, that was my first huge, like, growth spurt.
Oh, wow.
And then it's just been kind of gradual ever since. There's been I can't even remember, but there's been times where I'll have like a big jump for something or other. But the biggest jump was when I started doing fountain pen shorts.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
It was back when. Yeah.
I see on your Discord you have a page dedicated to fountain pens.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of it. Turns out a lot of people who write use fountain pens, and then a bunch of people. Seems like a bunch of bookworms like to have journals, and they like fountain pens. But yeah, YouTube kept emailing me, and they're like,
I know
hey,
Neil Gaiman likes fountain pens.
We want you to do shorts. And I happened to get my very first fountain pen. I'm like, all right, YouTube, you've been emailing me to do a short. I'm going to do a stupid short. And so I spent like 5 minutes just filming myself, opening up my first pen. I didn't even say anything. No words on the screen. I just slapped some music to it, and I threw it up, and I was like, fine. There you go, YouTube. Leave me alone. And that thing has like almost 2 million views on it.
Oh my gosh.
And I literally got probably 5,000 subscribers from that one short. Wow. So it's hilarious because people will ask me to come do stuff, and then they're like, I thought I would, have gotten a better outcome having you on my channel. And I'm like, well, if you asked me to come over here because you think you're going to get to my subscriber base, you need to be fountain pen related, because my book people are a much smaller percentage of who watches my channel. Like, my fountain pen people don't watch my book videos. And then, it really makes me mad, because I'm like, you know how much time I spend on my book videos, and y'all just want to watch these little 30-second pen shorts. I don't even say anything. There's no prep for that. I just slap something up there, and I'm like, all right, here you go. So I found a happy medium because I have a reading journal. I'm like, all right, well, if you want to look at my pens, you got to look at my reading journal too.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, like, who are some authors you enjoy or books that you've enjoyed that you've covered on your channel? Because, admittedly, I'm subscribed to a bunch of people, so it can be kind of hard to reach them all. So, sorry.
Well,
Feel
so,
bad.
like, you're talking about people I've had on my channel?
No, I just mean books in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be people you've talked with. Just like, what are some books you've covered where you're like, that was, man.
A lot. How much time do you have?
Oh gosh.
Because I mean, I
what's a recent one that might be what's a recent one you were like, man, that was good.
Oh gosh, of course I'm gonna go blank. Well, I've been working on SPFBO reads. Those have been amazing. Orphan X was a good one. That's if you like Jack Reacher or Jason Bourne type books. That's a really good one. I've only read the first one though, so I would have to read more to make sure the series stands up for it. But I would say probably one of my most favorite in recent months would be S.A. Cosby's All the Sinners Bleed.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you're gonna say Razor Blade Tears. I'm like, what?
And it's funny because when I read the prologue and the first chapter of All the Sinners Bleed, I stopped and I put it down for the day because I was going, oh man, this one's not as good as the other two I've read by him. I picked it up the next day and proceeded to binge it because that prologue and that first chapter leads you to believe that this is going to be about this event. And then you find out that event was not what you thought it was. It's something completely different. And, well, I am a huge lover of serial killer stories. And that's what it turned out to be. And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm in.
Have you read Gone to See the Riverman?
No.
You would like that one. If you like serial killer stories, I think you would like that one a lot.
Yeah, I will almost always. It's funny.
It's also really short. It's like 160 something pages. So.
Oh wow, that's a read in a day one there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one. Competition.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Oh man, it's my.
I've heard about this mythic
SPFBO.
Thank you.
It's my favorite thing to participate in all year. And I got amazing books to read this year. They're all different. They're all fantasy, but they're all different types of fantasy. So I had a literary, historical fantasy. I had two sword and sorcery. I had a mystery with magic. I had contemporary fantasy with magic, like a contemporary witch novel. It was, I still haven't figured out who I'm gonna put forward. So it's rough. So I think Team Bookborn, we're gonna do a live stream with all of us, and we're all gonna reveal our semi-finalists at that point that we're gonna put through.
Yeah, I saw Tori was doing it, and I think Philip was doing it, and
yeah, Philip's a team captain this year.
Some other people who I can't name at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that are participating. But it's a lot of fun.
With indie fantasy, I don't know where to start. I mean, I've asked, and then I get a bunch of people private messaging me, offering me to read their books. It's kind of awkward for me, because I'm like, really? Me?
Well, you can always go to Mark Lawrence's blog and see all of the entries, or you can go to the Facebook group, because people, as they're reading the books, they're posting their reviews in the Facebook group, and people shop those reviews, and they're like, okay, that sounds like one, that'll be my style, and so they just wait for the reviews to come out, and they're like, okay, that book's for me, that book's for me, but it gets 300 entries every year. And as soon as they're announced, a lot of people that aren't even judges they go through that list and they're like, okay, I'm gonna pick me 20 books off of these 300 to read.
It's fair. I mean, we all have what we like.
Yep.
So is there like a genre that you prefer, or is it just like you're one of those who just, you'll read it, everything, and you just...
I will read anything. I don't read a whole lot of nonfiction. I read certain types of nonfiction. I'm working my way through Joan Didion's essays right now that are nonfiction, and I do read like some memoirs, certain ones, but other than that, except for I don't like really weird horror. Like, I can suspend my belief a little bit, but if it makes absolutely no sense and I'm sitting there going the whole time, I'm going, how did we get here? I don't like that, and I definitely don't like erotica.
Oh, you don't like erotica?
No, because all it is there's no plot. It's like, oh, this vampire walks into this party and they immediately start going at it, and I'm going, yeah, I mean, I'm just, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I saw you started covering romance. I mean, I know erotica and romance isn't really the same thing, but
no.
Together.
No, what I've been reading has been contemporary romance where, you know, Harry meets Sally and it's super cute, or it's snarky. I like really snarky, sarcastic characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that I'm okay with when there's an actual story. Is it predictable? Yes. Are they funny? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, like, witty banter, something I can relate to or get a good chuckle out just and enjoy. Candy is what it is. It's not, you know, it's nothing deep. You know, I'm not sitting over here taking copious amounts of notes like I will if I'm reading Malazan or any of those types where I'm like, ooh, trying to connect all of the characters and storylines and plot lines and tab them all. So, yeah.
So you have read Malazan or however the hell you pronounce it?
Yeah, I've started. I'm going to restart when I can complete the series. Right now I've got too much going on and I'm trying to catch up because I've been traveling home back and forth, and so I'm a little behind on my schedule I set for myself. So, like, at this point I've closed down accepting review requests. I'm not hosting any readathons, read-alongs. I'm not doing any more like lives or anything like that. Of course, we're gonna be gone pretty much. I will not be here in the evenings, September, October anyway, and some of November. And then, you know, December and late November is Thanksgiving. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to not do anything else for the rest of the year. I'm just going to get caught up on my books and just be quiet.
Fair enough. Still going to be, like, reviewing and stuff?
I mean, I'm going to be doing my 2 videos a week on the channel, but that's it. Like, I'm not going to host anything on my channel. I'm not going to go on other channels. I usually will try to... I get talked into doing a readathon here and there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Well, thank you for making an exception this time around. Appreciate it. Well,
yeah, you had asked me before I decided to, like, shut everything down. I was like, all right, I'm going to get all my folks taken care of that had asked me before. I was like, I'm going to get everybody taken care of in August, and that way, because I won't be here much in September, October, I can just be done.
Yeah, since I've started my YouTube channel back up, I've just been tracking down a bunch of booktubers to talk to on this show, so yeah, it's been fun. Yep. So, are there booktubers that really made you want to do this, or did you just kind of go like, you know what, why not? Because, you know, I get that.
No, I actually had no idea that BookTube was a thing. I am friends with a lot of gaming YouTubers. And if I had wanted to, like, make money on a channel and blow up, that's the direction I would have gone in, because I had the connections to do that.
Like video games, or like what kind of games?
yeah, console gaming, video games. And so then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a girl getting into that because there's being a girl playing video games and playing online, there's just a lot of junk to deal with. I was like, I don't want to do that. What's something that I love, I'll never run out of content for? And I'm like, well, I'm always reading. I always have a book going. And I was like, let me go look. And I looked up, I was like, wow, there are people that do online book reviews. Who knew? And so I spent about 8 months just because I knew everything I needed to know about like building a channel going into it because I have a bunch of friends that are YouTubers. And so I like took the time to come up with a name, got my logo, got everything just kind of built out and ready to go so that was all done ahead of time.
Like, how long did...
Just...
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, I thought you were done speaking. Can finish your thought?
I was done.
Oh. I was going to ask, your name is The Nerdy Narrative. Did it take you very long to come up with that?
No, I actually, that's one of the first ones I came up with, but nobody else that I was talking to, like my friends, liked it. I was the only one that liked it, and I was like, well, you know what? I like it, so that's what I'm going with.
Fair enough. I've seen a few of your videos. Did one on the Malevolent 7, isn't it? From...
The Sebastian de Castile?
Yeah, that one. Heard that's good. I'm really interested in trying his Greatcoat series.
Me too. I've got the first 2. That's next year's gonna be all about finishing current series because I've got so many I'm in the middle of and so many that I literally need to just read one last book and it'll be done. So I'm gonna finish series. I'm gonna read down physical TBR next year, and then the next year I'm gonna go buck wild, starting a bunch of new series. And
yeah,
Greatcoat is one of them.
Yeah, I'm hoping to catch up with Gentleman Bastard series because I've read the first 2 books already. Now I just need to read the 3rd one, which I've heard is not as good as the other 2, but I want to see for myself.
Read it for yourself.
I have a bad habit of figuring things out for myself, you know.
Yeah, it was not good.
It wasn't?
I would reread the first 2 books, but I would never read the last one again, so I sold that series.
You sold the whole series?
Yeah, because I was like, I know that the 3rd one was terrible, and I'm not gonna reread the first 2, and
they're both standalones though. Or you could read.
You said the Gentleman Bastards?
The Gentleman Bastards.
I'm thinking of the wrong one. Which one am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking of the Lotlands.
Oh.
I got. What are they called? They're called something. Something bastards. Forget what they're called. What were they called? They're the half human, half orcs. Forget what they're something. The name of their group is something bastards.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Actually, Gray Bastards. Is that it?
Yes, the Gray Bastards. That's it.
I thought you were talking about Gentleman Bastards. I was like, what?
Yeah,
the first 2 books are so good. I haven't read the 3rd.
Funnily enough, the Gray Bastards won SPFBO the year that he entered.
Yeah.
And he got that deal, and he actually beat Josiah Bancroft, who had entered Sinlin of Sins in the same year.
Ouch. I actually have Sinlin of Sins over here. I just don't want to get it at the moment. I want to read. That's what I'm saving for next year.
That's a great series.
That's what I've heard.
Darker than I expected, but I like dark stories. So
yeah, no, I do too. But it looks like a type of thing that'll scratch my itch. Has that kind of whimsical.
Yeah. Lots of whimsy.
I like whimsy a lot. I don't. You watch Alan, or you know of Alan? I'm sure you do if you've.
Oh
been
yeah,
on this.
we're pals. We meet in person because he's in Florida too.
Get here. Sorry, my cat. But anyway, I've only talked to him a few times, but he's turned me on to a couple of series, and Sinlin Ascends is... I was already interested in reading it, but I watched his video, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go pick up that book. Or I'm gonna get it off Amazon. Or the library, whatever.
Yeah, when he was reading that series, he was beating on all of us to read it, so we eventually all caved.
Yeah, no, it seems like the type of book I would enjoy. I mean, my favorite read last year was Perdido Street Stations, so I'm always looking for stuff that's unusual and weird. So
this fits that bill.
That's what I've heard. That's why I'm like, I gotta read this at some point. Oh gosh, yeah, it's a strange world in fantasy. I mean, there are the tropes in fantasy that are great. Like, I love the like misfit crew of people who come together. I also like the quest narratives, but but I really enjoy. But I do enjoy when people try to do things differently, which you could say for any genre, but especially fantasy, where it's like the tropes are supreme.
Yep, I've never read another series like Sinlin, so it's gonna be interesting. I think you'll love it.
I hope so. I really... Now, a lot of books people have seen, like, recommend... Like, I see, like, there's that sort of, like, all the big series on YouTube that people recommend that are like, this is pretty good. I've liked most of them. Like, I finished up The First Law. I started Gentlemen Bastards this year. I really enjoyed that. Or I have enjoyed it so far. Again, I've heard the third book is kind of...
Gentlemen Bastards. That's The Lies of Lockamora.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get along with that one.
Aww. That's probably my favorite book this year, though. Come on.
I'm going to give it another try.
Oh.
I think I picked that one up at the wrong time.
No, no books for everyone. I mean, I'm always telling people to go read American Gods, and I just text me. They're like, "What the hell is this?"
That one on my shelf. I have that one on my shelf to get to.
Yeah, I really enjoy Neil Gaiman's stuff a lot, so I'm always recommending his stuff. You even cover like manga and even comics on your channel, right? I remember I watched one of your videos. I'm like, I'm gonna be covering comics soon, so I'm like, oh, I better keep up with that. And then I didn't.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Bit. I'm actually rereading One Piece right now. I'm getting ready for the live action show at the end of the month. So.
Oh jeez, I haven't even dared to try and touch One Piece because I'm like, this series is so old. It could have its own kids now. It's ridiculous. It could have its own little One Pieces.
Yep.
I don't know if I want. I don't know if I want to commit that much time, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I read a little bit, just a chapter here and there a day. So.
Also, like, the art style looks really weird, so I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Weird. It's the style I like. I like Tokyo Ghoul, the first series, amazing art style. He did a second one, and it was like a completely different person drew it. It did not look good. But yeah, it's a style I like. For somebody who grew up watching anime, it matches that type of style, which is what I like.
Yeah, I've slowly been dipping my toes in these last couple years. I like Death Note a lot.
Oh man, I like the first half of that one, but it just got so repetitive. I just got tired of the two fighting. I'm like, all right, this is old. I'm bored.
That's what everyone says. The first part's great and the second part sucks. I disagree. I think all of it is very good. But I will give that it does get a little convoluted towards the end because I don't know, Light just loves to make things complicated. But I thought the ending was really good though. I also enjoy Naoki Urasawa's stuff. I read Pluto this year, and I read Monster last year, which are both fantastic. I don't know if you've read those, but.
See, I've got another Junji Ito over here to get into next. He's another favorite.
Oh yeah. I've read some. God, he's one of the few like comic artist people who have genuinely like gotten under my skin. Like he just has a way of drawing these really grotesque images. It's just you know.
Yep. My only complaint with his style is all of his females look exactly the same. He can draw guys that look different, but all of the girls look exactly alike. And I'm like, come on, man. I know you can make them look different.
Yeah, like there's a scene in Uzumaki I remember reading, and the guy's like, "Oh, check this out! I got this thing." Uses his tongue and flips it into like a circle. I was like, "Oh God, why? Oh no."
Yep, Uzumaki gets everybody somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. He's got. He can take these really bizarre, like absurd concepts and make them genuinely spooky. I'm just like, how does he do this?
He did a retelling of Frankenstein that is my favorite. Absolute favorite. It was so good.
Yeah, I've seen that around in my local comic shop. I just haven't picked it up. Cause
yeah, I'm lucky. My library has tons of comics and manga, so I can just check it out from there. I certainly can't afford to buy it all.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of an American comic supremacist, so I have a really hard time. Plus, I didn't really get anime growing up. Like, I watched Pokemon, and like even as like a 5-year-old kid, I thought it was really dumb. I don't know why. I never liked it.
Yeah.
Not a Pokemon guy or gal.
No. Never got into it.
Oh Lord, yeah. No. There's some like good, like Cowboy Bebop. I love that. Like, it's one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time, and that's an anime.
Yeah. That one's good. Trigun's good. Inuyasha's good. Love Hina's good. Evangelion. That is the most boring. People, so many people love it. It's so popular. I'm going where they have 2 characters stare at each other for 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, you probably wouldn't like Dragon Ball. There's a lot of people screaming at each other and fighting for 8 hours.
I'm like, this is boring.
You're not a fan of Dragon Ball Z?
No.
I don't know. I can have fun with it because it's like supposed to be over the top and silly. So I'm just like, all right, you know what? I can deal with this for. And it's got all the anime stuff that I don't like the over-the-top, like, muscles and, like, fights and, like, the anime girls, if you know what I'm talking about. Why does everyone look like they're 12 years old, you know? It's,
Yep.
But, again, there's good manga out there that I've read, and there's good anime that I've seen. I just, I don't know. I don't read it as frequently. Have you read American comics at all?
Yeah, I've read quite a few. Let's see. Recently, let's see, Chew, the Jeff Johns, Green Lantern, all of his that he wrote, like, of that series. Nailbiter.
I still need to read Nailbiter.
Oh man, I loved that one.
Oh yeah, it's got
serial killer.
Serial killer stuff.
Let's see what I got over there. A lot of horror ones, like Something is Killing the Children.
That is really good.
Yep.
I have Something is Killing the. It's weird because I have to I'll buy it and my parents will see me reading it. It's like, what the hell is that? And I just have to go it's a comic. It's
It's a mystery. Something's killing the children, and they're trying to figure out what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes I'll just go, well, it is what it says. There's another one he did called The Department of Truth, which is basically, oh, what if every conspiracy theory was real? And it just doesn't have the same effect, you know. It's it does a similar thing that Something is Killing the Children does, like with its concept. Like, it's about how if people believe in it enough, it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that series is that it over-explains, and you're just like,
oh gosh,
don't do that.
Yeah.
He had a good thing going. Got a good
nobody
thing?
likes info dumping.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. I mean,
It depends on how it's done. If it's done well, sure. But if it's literally just a brick of paragraph of straight facts or explanation, I'm like, my eyes are glazing over.
You would love Atlas Shrugged because there's a whopping 70 pages of philosophy, philosophical info dumping, or as they call it on TV tropes, author filibustering on there.
Yep, that would be a DNF.
It's great. Not really. It's actually really painful to read.
Yeah, I'd be out on that one.
Oh God. Yeah. No. Atlas. Oh gosh. I mean, Atlas Shrugged. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I can totally. It's one of those books I can totally see why someone would dislike it, and that's fine. But it's just, oh man.
Yeah, 70 pages of philosophy. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's basically just a speech, and it's 70 pages. You're like, are you serious right now? I don't.
Yep.
I don't read books to do that, but you know. Yeah. Yeah, you also enjoyed Dresden Files. I've seen you cover that on your channel. I've never read that because I tend to. Yeah, God, I feel like I say this every few episodes, but I'm always mentioning how I tend to read like. I generally read like standalones and trilogies, with the occasional longer series, and that's about it in terms of fantasy. Because like, I don't really feel like reading The Wheel of Time. I'm kind of hesitant to read Malazan, even though it seems more up my alley, because, you know, it sounds really dark and depraved and evil, and I really like that.
Stay away from Wheel of Time. If you like standalones and trilogies, you will hate The Wheel of Time, because I would love to see a good editor get a hold of that series and republish it, because it would probably be half as long. This guy repeats himself so much.
But I thought you liked The Wheel of Time.
I do like The Wheel of Time, but I'm also a whole lot older than you are, and I was reading those books when they were coming out.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Publishing was not like it is today. We may have a year between books today. Back then, you may have 3 to 4 years. So back then, when you're reading the series as it comes out, and if you're not somebody who rereads the books that came previously, then it's fine, because 3 or 4 years have gone by since you read the last one, and he just says it all again. So, I mean, I love the series, but that stuff gets on my nerves reading it now. So.
Yeah, no, that's why I've always been hesitant to try to Wheel of Time. I'm like, it's 15 books, and do I really want to put... Maybe someday I'll try Eye of the World, and just Eye of the World, and I'll be like, you know what? If I actually like this, I'll keep going. But if I don't, I'm just not.
Yeah. But, you know, and when I got into fantasy, all of the series were 10 to 14 books long, so I'm used to long series. I like long series. That can really give the author a chance to build out a world, but this day and age...
Oh, sure. I like the occasional longer series, you know, like Harry Potter or Game of Thrones.
That's not a long series.
If George would ever finish the damn thing.
Neither one of them are long series.
Well, 7 books, that's...
Yeah, but the first 3 are, like, tiny.
Fine. Well, hold on. Game of Thrones ain't tiny. What are you talking
about? No, I'm talking about Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah. No, Harry Potter's pretty easy to read. Plus, it's also not that hard to read, so it's like, yeah, okay. I wouldn't say Game of Thrones is that hard to read, though. I'll admit, George does tend to go on for too long, as I like to say. I don't know if... You've read Game of Thrones, I hope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Many times. It's another one I've read as it came out. So
yeah, no, it's one of the things that kind of bothers me is like you have this great story and then he just keeps going. You're just like, okay, all right.
Yeah, well, his is. That series hasn't lost its luster. Like those 5 books were all amazing, which is why there's so many fans that are upset that he just doesn't seem to care to finish it. So.
Well, I think he's trying, but he's not in any in any rush to.
Well, no, it's been like I don't even know how many years, and it was so many years between books 4 and 5. And when book 4 came out, book 5 was already done. The publisher made him split those 2 books in 2, and then they sat around on that second half for years.
Yeah,
He has said he does not like that series as much as his other series. He's putting out books in his other series. He's just not doing it in this one.
It seems to be a bad habit for a lot of fantasy authors. I mean, Scott Lynch hasn't finished Gentleman Bastards. Let's see. George hasn't finished Song of Ice and Fire. And what was the other one? Patrick Rothfuss. I haven't read Patrick Rothfuss yet, but
I haven't either. I'm going to. I don't care that I don't care if it's not finished. That doesn't bother me. I mean, I have a lot of series that I'm reading that are finished that I haven't finished. So I'm certainly not gonna get mad at the author for doing the same thing I do. So
would it be bad to kind of make fun of Wheel of Time just for how long it is? Because I don't know if I could do it. I'm just saying. I don't know if I could do it.
It is too long because it has too much. Now that it's a completed series, I see why a lot of modern readers DNF it and don't like it because it's repetitive. The characters say the same things over and over and over and over to where you literally want to punch something. It's so stupid. You're just so tired of it. And if an editor today got a hold of it and cut all that crap out, like the first time it said leave it in, but you cut it out of all of the books that it comes behind, that's what I'm saying. It would be a much shorter series.
Yeah, I've heard there's like 2 books that are literally nothing but filler, and oh god. I'm like, I don't know if I want to put myself through that. Now, Malazan, that seems more like up my alley because I like darker stuff. So
yeah. His are just.
But I've heard it's a lot.
It's not that it's a. I mean, if you're somebody who wants all the answers in the beginning, then you're not gonna like it because he starts you in the middle of the marathon. He throws you down in the middle of all this activity, and you're going, what's happening? Like, I don't understand what's going on. You're not supposed to. Just trust that the author is going to make it make sense by the end, and he does. And he does it very cleverly, and it's wrapped up so that if you just read Gardens of the Moon and you stop, you're perfectly fine. That could be a standalone. And in fact, the second book is a completely different set of characters, so he was really, really clever with the series.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Yeah, that's what I want to take my time with.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend who... I've had people who I'm friends with, who I admire and respect, who really enjoy it, and then I have people who I really admire and respect who don't enjoy it. So it's kind of... I don't know really what to say.
There are people who like to have their hands held, like they like Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, and there are people who like to have their brains massaged and make them work, like Steven Erikson. So and I enjoy both, and I know when I read Malazan, like I that would be my first thing I would read. I would read 1 chapter a day when I was reading Gardens of the Moon, because the chapters were really long. They're like 30, 40, 50 pages each. I would literally take it 1 chapter per day so I could think about it, mull it over, and just what it meant. Brandon Sanderson, I can just sit and read forever and ever because he holds your hand through it. He reminds you of things that are happening. And like, Brian McClellan is another one that doesn't hold your hand.
Who doesn't or does?
Does not.
Oh,
he
okay.
says something, like, I was watching a live show, and Alan from Library of Alexandria, and he and Jessie May were talking about Promise of Blood, and they didn't like it. And he's like, this part right here didn't even make sense or get explained. And I'm like, yeah, it did. It's on this page and this paragraph. And he's like, so he said it one time. I'm like, yeah, it's one time. Well, that's not enough for me to. I'm like, but you can't dunk on the
Well,
author.
Alan's kind of a contrarian, I've learned, so don't take it too personally.
Oh yeah, I don't at all. But I don't mind.
You know what's funny? I'm just like, sorry. Oh, sorry. Continue what you were saying. Could you repeat what you said?
I don't need an author to tell me something over and over and over again. I'm always trying to put the pieces together and figure it out. I'm trying to Nancy Drew it. I just usually fail.
Oh, so we're not a Joe Abercrombie fan then?
Oh, I love Joe Abercrombie.
Oh, I was about to say he does repeat himself a bit.
I have all of his books. Yeah, but his are funny. Like,
oh, okay.
That's like Logan's catchphrase. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, I'll admit,
it's always funny.
I'll admit, I picked up the Blade itself. I'm like, okay, well, everyone's always talking about how great this series is. I'll read it, and I'll see how it is. First couple pages, I'm like, all right, I'm in. The rest of the series. Oh yeah,
the first page. As soon as Logan was like, shit, I'm like, I'm in. I was in. So yeah, I have all of his books. I've got them hardback, paperback. I've got US, UK. I've got the broken binding, special editions, all of them.
Yeah, I completed the first. I completed the first trilogy, and then I read Best Served Cold because they just announced the movie was going to come out, and now I'm taking a break because, I don't want to get burned out,
Yeah.
Also, I had some problems with Best Served Cold, even though I still liked it a lot.
Yeah, that one, I'm like, okay, do we really have to go through all 7 of these people? Like, I get the point. We get the idea. We can just, do a couple of them, and then we know she's going to go down the list, and then let's just, get on.
Well, that wasn't really what bothered me. There was just a couple of, he repeats himself a lot. Now, I know he does that in the first series, but it wasn't, annoying. In this...
Yeah, but...
Oh, God. Shivers mentions a bunch of times how he has pride. I'm like, I don't care. Please stop talking.
He's my favorite character in the entire all of First Law.
I do like Shivers, but his catchphrase about how he has a little pride in him. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, his character develops as you move forward.
It's like, I got some pride in me. I'm like, oh god, stop. Also, it was weird because the main character just wasn't as interesting as some of the side characters like Morveer or.
She was, but I just didn't want to go through her entire list. That got boring to me.
I don't hate female characters, I promise, but she just wasn't as interesting as the other people. I thought Morveer was hilarious. He's just...
He was.
Oh my gosh. He's just the worst kind of person, but you just can't help but laugh at just how... It's hard to explain.
Yep.
I had a buddy who just recently read Brian McClellan, what is that? It's that first series he did. Powder Mage trilogy, isn't it? Yeah, I'll definitely pick that up because it sounds like something I would enjoy, and I'm interested in seeing ooh, they're gonna have guns and fantasy. That's pretty hardcore. I want to read about that.
I liked it because it sort of gave me. I don't know if you ever saw that movie with Angelina Jolie called Wanted, where they send bullets.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what this flintlock magic felt like in that one.
Yeah, my buddy
That's what I kept visualizing every time they would. The powder mages would use guns and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, that's so cool.
My buddy was like, apparently they huff the gunpowder, that's the magic. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Gotta figure that out. I gotta check that out. Also, it's a trilogy, so definitely. There's though they start threatening to sexually assault people. I'm like, okay, not cool.
No.
I'll put it this way: I don't like reading about rape. or people
Yeah.
getting threatened with rape. I mean,
Ah,
I don't mean to
rape-
laugh. Rape
the
isn't
most-
funny.
All of it. No, it's in a lot of stuff though. But most of the time, it's like off the page or it's insinuated. Rarely are you gonna find it like laid out.
But like, why is the
Because
first
people don't like.
like why is the first threat like is rape? It's just
I guess
even in Game of Thrones they do it. Like he threatens to like. There's one guy I think he like threatens to rape Arya. I'm like, dude, what?
The reason why is because she is. It's who she is. She's Lord Stark's daughter. If he rapes her, then that makes her sullied for as far as making a match later, because nobody else of equal stature would want to marry her because.
Well, I get
sullied.
that. Well, I get
So,
that, but it's just like
it meant something different in those times than it does now. So that is literally the worst thing that can happen, because then she's going to be like, she has nothing to look like. Her life is considered useless because that was the commodity of women, is who can I marry my daughter off to strengthen my land, my property. And so
on the one hand, I could note that maybe Arya wouldn't mind the not getting married part. But on the other, rape is a very traumatizing event, so it's not good. Don't rape people.
I wouldn't try to rape her.
Oh, oh.
Nope. She you're gonna get something more than you bargained for with that one. She's my favorite
Yeah,
character in Game of Thrones.
mine's Tyrion, because I don't know. I guess I'm basic.
Oh yeah, he's a second favorite for sure. He's very snarky and witty, and I've got to respect the quick wit always.
It's like watching him insult somebody is like watching Michelangelo create the statue of David.
Yep, he is definitely at his best when he's doing that.
Yeah, I find a lot of people either really like First Law or the Lies of Locke Lamora / Gentleman Bastard books, or oh man, there's like the real like I don't know if you've noticed this, but like on BookTube, there's like the really popular like fantasy series out there, and it's really funny how that works.
Well, not really. People make a BookTube channel and they're like, what can I do to get people to watch my channel? Oh, everybody's reading this book and they all love it. Series. Let me talk about it. And
Ooh,
there
yeah.
you go. So you see where a lot of people just kind of hover the same thing. So I try to mix it up.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I don't read what's popular. I read what I want to read.
Yeah, I'm the same way though. Another thing, I haven't really felt the itch to try Brandon Sanderson for, and that's another thing a lot of people give me shit about, because I'm like, and it's like he has trilogies, so it's not like it's not that his series are too long or anything. It's just on the one hand, I don't really love how he approaches like magic systems and stuff like that.
I like his magic systems.
I don't know. I'm more of like a guy, like magic should be like a more subtle thing. So I guess I like soft magic systems a lot.
Yeah, I like complex, and I like knowing how they work. And he explains his very well.
Well,
But
my thing is
I
when
hated Elantris. I liked the first two Mistborn books. Didn't need the third one. The third was just such a waste. But I liked Stormlight Archives, and I like Warbreaker. So he's hit or miss for me.
Yeah, I mean, no, my thing is like it just becomes science if once you explain all of it, like how it works, and that doesn't interest me. Personally speaking, I'm not saying everyone else should think this way, but that's just how I feel. Maybe I'll try them. Like Mistborn sounds interesting, but that's about it. Like maybe I'll try like a Mistborn book, and if I like it, we'll see. More of a like Abercrombie and like Scott Lynch and Neil Gaiman guy, you know.
Yep.
I like fantasy that has like an art to it. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind like entertaining I don't mind books that are meant to like entertain. Like that's fine. But I like to go for a deeper experience, because I don't know. I don't know what you think. I know you said you're easy to please, so you're probably much different than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I'll enjoy it all, and if I just know certain types of books when they work for me, like when to slot them in. So if I read something complex, then I'll relax with something that's more easy to consume. Like, I might pick up a Dresden, or I might pick up a Brandon Sanderson.
Wait a minute, didn't you read the no, wait, I think that was Joanna who did that. The Guy Gavriel Kay book?
Yeah, I've read Tagana, and I've read, I forget what the one with the red cover. All something A Brightness Long Ago. And I love Tagana, but A Brightness Long Ago, like, I would never reread that book. It wasn't good enough to reread. It had like one really good part in it. Well, it had like two, but yeah,
is it one that you wouldn't recommend to your worst enemy? Like, is it that bad, or is it like?
I don't think it was that bad. But I don't typically, if it's not something I would reread, I don't generally recommend it. Like, I would recommend Tagana. I would not recommend A Brightness Long Ago. And I think A Brightness Long Ago is what Joanna recently read.
Yeah, or she read something. It was like Alice Sane or something. If she watches this at some point, she can comment down below. Or maybe I'll look later and be like, oh, that's what it was. But I'm probably not going to.
Oh, The Lions of Alice Sane. That's probably the one, then.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. I'm like, wait, weren't you one of the people who read that, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, I haven't read that one, and I have one of his others. A lot of his are standalones, so I like that. So I can just slot them in whenever. But I have one of his others on the shelf to read.
Yeah, he's one I've wanted. He's one of those. He's kind of like M.K. Jemisin or Ursula K. Le Guin, or who's another fantasy author I've always wanted to try. Those three, who I've always wanted to try, but I haven't gotten around to it because there's just so many.
Yeah, Jemison is fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things from people. I have the 5th season in my bedroom. I just haven't picked it up and read it yet. I want to.
Well, some people don't like that some of it's written in second person.
Yeah, I've heard the voice kind of throws people off.
Yeah, and I thought it was super freaking clever. And it was different. For somebody who reads a lot, when you read as much as I do, it's refreshing to pick up a book that's written in different points of view than I'm used to.
Yeah, no. I've heard it's good, though I am a little, like, I am probably going to be a little more hard on it because all 3 books won the Hugo Awards, so I'm usually kind of skeptical. So I'm like, okay.
It.
I'm like, all right, let's see what you got.
Yep.
You better blow my socks off, N.K. Jemisin.
Yep. Yeah. One of my friends DNF'd it, and I'm like, you didn't even finish it to see how it comes together. I'm like, the how that wraps up is where the beauty of that book is. Like,
no, I mean, I don't mind the second person. I read Acceptance from Jeff Vandermeer a few years ago, and that uses that style, though that was probably my least favorite of the Southern Reach books. Still a good book, though. It's not bad. It's just,
I loved it. It was different. It was intriguing. It had a really cool magic system, and just a great, unique premise. So I was interested in all kinds of things with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I here's the thing. Like, I want to like most of the things that I read, but you kind of get like a sixth sense for it after a while. That you're like, this doesn't sound like something that'll scratch my itch.
Yep.
Like Wheel of Time, I don't think I'll like that very much.
Yeah, yeah. That's why people are like, you almost like everything you read. I'm like, because I picked it. I know what I like. I know myself really well. Even if it's a review copy, I said yes to it because it had something about it that I knew I would like. I don't want to spend hours reading something I'm not gonna like. So
yeah, I mean, look, I admire the people who can like make like hour-long videos deconstructing why a book is bad, but I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could do that.
If the video is longer than 20 minutes, I keep scrolling.
Fair enough. I did get Joe's book Wistful Ascending. I hope to read it, though it's gonna be weird since it's a superhero novel and not a superhero comic.
Well, it reads like one.
That's what I've heard. He's like, it's like Invincible. I'm like, oh yeah, send that book right now. I love Invincible. Which, you know, I think you would like Invincible if you like. I don't know if you like superhero stuff, but I've heard Wistful Ascending be compared to Invincible. So I guess if you like Wistful Ascending, you'll enjoy Invincible a lot.
Yeah, it's got some great characters. It's got a lot of humor in it again, and just very interesting. I like sentient things.
Oh yeah.
And it has sentient ships.
Oh.
And they learn over time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting. So lots to love about that one too.
You've also covered horror, which is actually like some of the first stuff like I found from you. It was horror stuff before I really dove into the fantasy stuff. Who are some horror authors you've enjoyed during your time? Do you get like indie horror books? Like my friend Curtis Lawson's book. I'm sure he'll appreciate me mentioning this. Let me go grab it real quick. I don't know. This book, Blackheart Boys Choir.
Yep.
I don't know if you've
I've
read
heard
it.
about that one. I haven't read it.
I don't know if you've read it, but I have to say, it'll blow you away. Or I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I read tons of indie horror. Probably the majority of the horror I read is indie horror.
Also, I'm not just saying that because we're friends. It really is a good book as well.
Yeah, a lot of my reviewer friends that read horror have read that one and enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's a good book, and it's very enjoyable. And I enjoyed, there's a lot of dark stuff in that book. So I wouldn't say it was particularly enjoyable, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah, when people talk about trigger warnings and content warnings about horror, I'm like, it's horror. You should kind of automatically expect it's going to cover one or all of the things that are triggers or would have a content warning on it. Like that's.
Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on trigger warnings because I'm like, on the one hand, I understand
don't read horror if you have triggers. Those triggers are going to be in most horror novels. That's why it's horror. It's something that scares the stuffing out of you, the author, just. I don't have any, but if I did, I wouldn't read horror because that's where that kind of stuff is going to be the most prevalent, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of the stuff that are, if you go look up a website, it's like, hey, what are the most common content warnings? That's not stuff you're going to find in romance, fantasy, science fiction. The majority of that's going to be in horror and thrillers.
The thing I was gonna say is like, on the one hand, I get there's people who have like real trauma and they, there's stuff that can really mess with that, so I get that. But on the other hand, don't read it if you're not going to vibe well with it. That's kind of my.
Yeah, and there are websites that you can go to that people upload titles that have the warnings and stuff. So
that's fine. I'm like, you can do that. I'm not against that. That's consideration, I think. But at the same time, I'm like, if it's a book that's probably going to offend you, don't read it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
or at
saying.
least if you know that it's going to be something that's probably going to offend you, don't
Well, yeah,
read
that's
it.
what they're trying to avoid. But I would just say avoid horror 100% if you're somebody that's got.
Well, I mean, I like horror because I
Well,
like being taken out of my comfort zone, even if there is some stuff that I'm like, like
yeah, I mean, there's stuff I don't agree with, but
I mean, I like Stephen King. Okay, I've put up with a lot of stuff after reading a bunch of his work. Okay, if you've read it, there's a lot of crazy stuff in that book. Okay, I can put up with some crap.
yeah, his older stuff, he's learned a lot. I mean, he doesn't write his current books like his older books. So.
Also, he was on drugs at the time.
Well, yeah.
You know, I should have like a Britton's hangout hour drinking game. Just like how many times I talk about how I don't usually read like multi-book long series, and another one talking about how this story about how Stephen King's drug addiction was so bad he can't remember writing Cujo, or so he says anyway. And that just,
I wouldn't be surprised.
and I'm like, and people tend to say that. I'm like, how does that? How do you get so messed up on drugs? How do you get so messed up on drugs that you can't remember? It's like you wake up. What did he wake up from a bender one night and he just wrote Cujo? He's like, what?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't associate drug use with being able to work. I'm just baffled. Like I never heard that. I mean, I knew he had a drug problem. He's written about it and he's done interviews about it and stuff. But
a lot of his characters are alcoholics as well. So.
Yep.
Yeah. That's. I think that's one of the reasons he doesn't like the Shining movie because he didn't like how it portrayed Jack. And I was like, yeah, still a great movie, at least in my opinion, anyway.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's my buddy's favorite horror movie. So yeah, but yeah, I just saw you read like Grady Hendrix, so I have the Southern. Oh God.
Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampire Slaying.
Yes. Slaying vampires. Yes, that's one that actually sounds interesting to me. Admittedly, I'm a bit on and off with vampires. I'm curious what he'll do when he gets around to werewolves, but I don't want to be getting him ideas.
Yeah. That one's a fan favorite. His How to Sell a Haunted House is my favorite of his so far.
Yes, that's another one I've seen some people who don't like it, and then I've seen some people who do like it.
Oh, I hated the first 30% because it was just two siblings fighting, and I'm like, I almost DNF'd it, but there was a couple of lines about that house that had me interested, and I'm glad that I hung on because
like I've heard his books are like outwardly they sound really schlocky and like tongue in cheek, but then like there's like genuine stuff in there. I've heard that about.
I would not say that at all about his books.
No, I mean when you hear like the Southern Books Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, you get like an idea on what might happen, like a bunch of old Southern ladies beating up vampires, or that's what I think of when I hear that book title.
That's funny.
I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to read that. It sounds really dumb, but I kind of want to read that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I've heard that's not really what it's about, which is kind of disappointing. But but I've heard it's good. So I don't know when I'll get to that. Have you read Stephen Graham Jones at all?
He's a favorite author. I've got most of his books. I have a lot of his collector books from SST. Well, so
also the ending was kind of I don't know how to feel about that ending, but the rest of it was great. I thought the ending
was amazing.
Well,
the ending was.
It's good, but the idea of playing basketball with this like elk monster, I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, well, just spoilers.
Oh, sorry. The daughter of one of the guys plays basketball with the elk monster. They mention basketball
Yeah.
a lot in that book.
Well, he's a big fan of basketball.
Well, I know. Yeah, I think he used to play. I've seen interviews of him. I think he said he used to play.
Not seriously for fun, but
No, I mean like in high school.
Yeah. You should read his notes in the back of the book and see if that helps you understand that whole interaction.
No, I mean I liked the book. I thought it was really good, but it's like the just the mental image of this elk monster playing basketball with the scrappy heroine was kind of like
an elk monster.
Oh yeah, that's right. Another spoilers. It can shapeshift. Right.
And it was about the conversation and what was actually happening more than the game,
But what I do like,
so he's a literary horror author, meaning there's that story that's on the page, but there's that underlying theme there too.
I guess I should know what I did like is that it didn't do what I thought it would do, because I thought because from the sounds of it, it almost sounds like it's gonna be some like Native American take on it, but it's not.
Because when you for your actions, and it may not be immediate, but they're always going to arrive.
Like it's like I thought it was gonna be like these guys get back together and they're gonna fight this evil thing, and it's like no, no, it's not.
Nope. He had his own original idea with that one.
And also the basketball game. I was like, really? Okay, I guess this is really happening right now.
Yep. It's for someone who loves basketball, and I like I said, read what he wrote about it at the end, and that might make it make sense. But he is a literary horror fiction writer, so there's always more than just the story on the page. So that's one that a lot of people just kind of have to be in the mood to read.
I have a buddy who's a big horror nut, and he quit reading it, and he was like, there wasn't anything going on, and I was that kind of frustrated me a little bit.
Yeah, because there was a lot going on.
Yeah. You know, I want to read Mongrels. I'm hoping to read Mongrels from Stephen Graham Jones this October. I've wanted to read that book so bad because I freaking love werewolves.
From what you have talked about so far, I don't think it's going to be one you're going to like.
Oh, what? It's got werewolves, though. I love werewolves. And I liked The Only Good Indians. I thought that was a good book.
Remember, I said he's a literary horror author. So, it's more than just... Yeah, well, no, I won't say anything. That would be a spoiler. I mean, try it, but I don't think you're going to like it.
I want to read about werewolves. I've heard that's a good werewolf book.
It is. But I don't think you're gonna like how the story is written.
Hey,
I don't think it's gonna be a werewolf story you're gonna like.
I don't know. I mean, I read. Damn it, I have it over there. Oh, it's Those Across the River from Christopher Bielman last year. It was a pretty good book. The ending was not great. But aside from that, I enjoyed it. So I don't want to spoil what happens in case you haven't read or anyone here hasn't read it. But it was very frustrating.
I definitely don't. Just in case somebody watches and they haven't read it.
Have you read Christopher Bielman stuff? Have you read like Those Across the River? I think you would like that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
He's
slow
on
burn.
my list, my very, very long list.
But yeah, is it? I'll put it this way: Would you say that The Only Good Indians is a better book, or would you say The Wheel of Time is a better book?
They're fantasy and literary horror. They don't even belong in the same conversation together. And one's a standalone against the series, so I can't answer that. That's
fine. Okay.
That's
fine. Okay, how about First Law versus Wheel of Time?
Well, First Law.
Okay, I had a feeling you'd say that.
It's modern fantasy. is written when the books are going to came out close together. So
I just finished my first like serious project recently, a couple weeks ago, and I've already sent it out for people to kind of like. I've noticed that there's this kind of trend that like people like tighter prose now. Now I'm not saying, and my prose, I already was trying to make it like, not as tight as possible because I didn't want it to be like a Hemingway sort of thing where it's just a bunch of words strung together. But like there was even people, and I'm like, this isn't that dense, and they were saying to like keep it tighter, make it tighter, and I'm like, don't snicker at that. But
so like Brian Bowyer,
I don't think I've ever heard of that guy.
He is a very popular indie self-published author for the horror community, and his books he edits so harshly. There is no word in that book that does not need to be there.
Oh my god!
I mean, he keeps
I hate when people. God, that makes me so nervous when people say there wasn't a word in that book that wasn't meant to be there. I'm like, dude, I'm just writing it, man. Now, I'm not saying I'm just writing in the wind, but at the same time, it's like, oh gosh, that just makes it worse.
I mean, if you write, you write a paragraph and you read it back to yourself, and you're like, is there anything in here that's fluff? Like, did I really need to write 6 lines describing the color of the sky? Yeah.
Fair enough.
But that's what beta readers and editors are for, so.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was like, okay, I'm looking more for like story stuff and how the characters are, and I'm still getting people who are like copy editing. I was like, okay, I wasn't looking for that, but I guess I'll take it.
Yeah,
better to fix it now than to deal with it.
They don't know the difference, so you have to be like, okay, don't worry about proofreading. I don't need spell check or any of that. Just, does it logically get from point A to point B?
Yeah, exactly. And there's still people who just do the copy editing, and that's fine. Like, I get that it has its place, but I was just like, all right, well. And I'll admit, I did say, look, you don't have to do it, so that meant you can or you can't do it, and I won't get mad. But yeah. Oh well. I mean, I'm not writing a Wheel of Time type of thing, so it's not too much of a hassle. Going back to the Wheel of Time, there's 15 of those. How do people not get burned out after reading like? Because I've heard, like I said, I've heard there's like 2 whole books that is just filler.
Well, there's a lot of people who complain about the slog. So you would have to ask somebody that's read the series for the first time after they've all been out. I read them as they were coming out. Like, I started this series, there was only 3 books out at the time. And then I was just reading them every few years when they came out. And it didn't feel that way because there was 3 to 4 years between books for me.
Well, yeah, that's fair. You were reading them as they came out. It's not that you're reading all of them.
Yeah, and I also read them a whole lot slower because I was in high school, college, and working and all of that. So I just didn't have time to just sit and read for hours. So I read them slower. And
I've had people who this is not just a meh book. Like, I've met people who either love it or absolutely despise it. Like, I don't know if I've met someone actually I have met a couple people who've had a meh reaction to the Wheel of Time.
Nobody is going to, if you don't like the first 3 or 4 books of a series that long, you're not going to finish it. Especially when the books are as long as they are.
Yeah, no, I mean, how long are they? Like 600 something pages?
They're all probably well over that, depending on
900, 700. I don't know.
Yeah, they're super long.
Yeah,
and they all have really long prologues.
Oh my god. Oh, what does it go? Back in the time of whatever, there was a thing. There was a ring. No, I'm kidding. I'm hoping you've read Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
At least with Lord of the Rings, it was a trilogy. It wasn't a.
Yeah, but it's written in a old English style that a lot of folks don't like.
Yeah, here's the thing about some people who've complained about Lord of the Rings. It's not like that difficult. Like, it's not easy. I mean, it's definitely old.
It's a good example of a dense book, though.
It's definitely old and it's definitely dense, like you say, but it's not like crap load of books. I mean, though, I guess you could say that about like Stephen King, because he's written some chunkers.
Yeah, they're fast reads.
No, he's good for like a palate cleanser for sure. I mean, I'm actually thinking about reading The Outsider this year, but I haven't during my October.
Have you read the Bill Hodges trilogy? Because if you haven't, The Outsider spoils that.
Oh,
trilogy.
I haven't. Though I heard I do have the first book of that series, Mr. Mercedes, isn't it?
Yeah, that trilogy comes before The Outsider.
Oh, dang it! I'll perhaps have to find another Stephen King horror book to enjoy then.
Oh, he's got a lot to choose from, so.
Hey, I like the Green Mile and the Shawshank Redemption and a lot of those heartwarming stories.
Yeah, he writes some really great. He's really good at writing characters.
Yes, he is. That'll give you. He does do that. Yeah, I definitely could see like I could definitely see like his influence on like Stephen Graham Jones for sure. A little bit.
I would not know. Stephen Graham Jones is more of a slasher author. He loves slashers. He writes a lot of slashers.
Yeah, I actually have My Heart Is a Chainsaw over there as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now that one is very light on the literary, which is why a lot more people like that trilogy or the first two books that are out in it. They like that more than anything else by him because it's really light on the literary side. A lot of his other stuff, it has more meaning than just the story.
I said I like The Only Good Indians. It just
Yeah, but I think if you were you have to be in the if you're not if you don't like do you like literary fiction?
Yeah, I mean it depends on what it is, but yes, I do like that stuff.
Because if you're not a fan of literary fiction, then a lot of times people don't really connect well with Stephen Graham Jones, which is why I'll be curious to hear what you think of Mongrels when you read it.
I'm gonna read it, and if I like it, I'll tell you. How's that?
Yeah, I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts on that one. But he gets in deep, and Stephen King does not write literary fiction at all. Like, not even close. Like, Stephen Graham Jones is one of the only authors out there that could be called a literary horror author. Because he covers real world themes in his books, statistics that you're not going to be aware of. And he does it in a way that's not beating you over the head, like saying, hey, notice what's happening to these people of this tribe, how these people are persecuted. Like, in The Only Good Indians, the four guys screw up because they're hunting on the land that is set aside for the elders. And then the whole consequences, the book is all about the consequences of that one event. Because they end because they did what? They killed more food than they were going to eat.
Well, yeah.
And that is just a big no-no. That was not respecting the land, and that was not respecting the animals. That was supposed to be, they gave their life to sustain your life. And so, how many people out there would have ever known how that culture worked? Because, like, I read that book and I immediately got online. I'm like reading all about Blackfeet Indians, what they believed in, what their values were, what their culture was. I learned all about that. So it actually taught me some great things about a people I would have never looked at otherwise. And it made the book make more sense. And I understood why the consequences took the form that they did. It made it make more sense. So I actually got more, and I actually reread the book and got more enjoyment out of it because I understood what all of those things that he had, you know, just kind of snuck in there.
Oh no, I like that stuff a lot. Like, but it's just like the climax of the book. Again, the fateful basketball game of destiny. Now, I mean, okay, yeah. I pick... look, I know I'm poking fun at it, but I promise you, I enjoyed The Only Good Indians. Now, if you want to, like, you know, if you want to get after something, my buddy Jason didn't really care for it, because he's like, nothing's really going on. And I was complaining at him, I'm like, it's a slow burn.
I didn't think so. I think it took off and went crazy there.
Yeah, he's a picky guy, though, so I guess I can't be too... He
Yeah.
likes Paul Tremblay, and I'm just like, dude, okay, whatever.
Well, Stephen Graham Jones and Paul Tremblay are good friends.
Indeed. I've seen... Have you ever watched the Lovecraft Ezine podcast before?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, they're on there a lot, so...
Yep, they're good pals.
It's a
I've
horror...
never read Paul Tremblay, though.
Oh, he's very good. I've only read one of his books, but the one I read, I enjoyed a lot. It was the Cabin at the End of the World.
Yeah. I've got a few of his on my list to get to one of these days.
I am thinking of reading Survivor Song, but there's like points in that book which are like, God, how do I describe it? They look like computer pages. It's really weird.
It's mixed media?
What?
Yeah. Mixed media?
Something like that.
Yep. I like reading those. Breaks things up.
I don't know. I'll see when I get there. But I like post-apocalyptic stuff, and I like stuff with like zombies. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want to read about that.
Then you would like Daniel Barnett's Nightmareland Chronicles. That's a post-apocalyptic horror.
What's that? Sounds like a weird. It sounds like a messed up theme park.
No theme park. It is messed up though. But that's horror for you.
Well, yeah, I'm not. I don't read horror for a cozy experience.
Yep.
Though I guess there is cozy horror out there. I mean,
I don't know what would qualify as a cozy horror.
I'm actually wanting to do a series on my channel called like something like What's the Fuss All About, because I see these books trending on BookTube, like
just be for if you get into that type of content, just be ready to get a lot of comments that might be ugly.
Did you read like Legends and Lattes? Like that's one I'm hoping to do.
I'm reading that one I think in November, or it may be October.
Ugh.
I'm reading it right before the second one comes out.
Oh,
so
I'm
if I liked I can go ahead and be ready for the second one.
Mostly horror only in October. Come on now.
Nope. I get
Come
bored.
on. You can't spend 1 month just reading horror, because...
Nope. Because then I'll be bored. Get in a slump. Won't want to read. I get my horror fix because we go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. We pretty much live there all of September and October, so
Come on.
plenty of horror films.
But October's when I pig out on horror. Come on.
I read horror all year long, so.
No, I read horror. I read The Changeling. I think you know who's another kind of literary horror author. If you would like Victor Laval, he's very good.
Yeah, I've heard that one's on my list, specifically that one.
I did read The Changeling this year, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, somebody told me that one would be one for me.
But yeah, no, Stephen Graham Jones. I'm definitely gonna cover The Only Good Indians in October because it's spooky. It's a spooky book.
Yeah, he's got some scarier ones than that one.
Well, I'm sure he does. I think. Is that the only one I've read from him? I think that's the only one I've read from him. That was my first one from him.
That was my first one by him too.
Oh yeah, I saw like Brian Lee Durfee covered him, and oh lord, everyone was covering that book for a while there.
Yeah, I read it way after all of that.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of allergic to trends, which is why I want to do What's All the Fuss About, because I kind of want to see what these books are all about on the one hand, and either I'll actually enjoy them or maybe I won't, and I'll just be like, why did I ever think of doing this series in the first place?
Well, I mean, try it. See how you like it. See how it works out. If it's fun, keep going. If it's not fun, move on to something else.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if I want to go on that like Daniel Green route where he's just like doing like. Actually, I don't want to throw shade on this. I mean, I wasn't going to throw shade, but I don't want to sound like I'm throwing shade. How's that?
Yeah, it's a good policy.
Also, I should ask on a bit of an aside, is that Oogie Boogie behind you?
Yes.
The green little blob that's behind you?
I got Oogie Boogie, I've got Zero, I've got a Jack Skellington painting. Yeah,
really like Nightmare Nightmare Before Christmas, not Nightmare on Elm Street. Yep. Yeah, it's... Now, the one I'm kind of hesitant about is actually My Heart is a Chainsaw, because I actually find slashers pretty cheesy, but...
Well, there's a formula to them. And they're all going to follow that formula, but it's just, how do you get from, how do we go through that same trope? And it's very entertaining. It's really good.
Yeah, that might be another one I read this October. I'll read it at some other point. I don't know, but I'm definitely reading Mongrels because I've wanted to read that for so bad.
I mean, it's a good one. I enjoyed it.
It's what I've heard.
But I like it from the literary standpoint more than... I did not read it because it was a werewolf book.
Oh, what? But werewolves are cool.
They are. I do enjoy werewolves, but I read it for its other...
Heard it's also a coming of age story, which I'm like, okay, I can read that. Yep. I mean, if there's not any like sappy YA stuff in it, I can deal with it.
It's definitely, this is not a YA at all.
Oh, that's good.
It's very dark.
That's good.
But yeah, the coming of age part was what was really good about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I read the first line. I think it's my father told me he was a werewolf or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to read it again.
Years.
Sorry, I'm a weird like nerd for that kind of stuff. Like I'll just remember random stuff.
It's been too long since I read it to remember the first line.
So, are there some other horror stuff that you've enjoyed, like other authors? You're like, that's some quality content right there.
If you had asked me before, I could go through. Like, I read so many. I mean, there's not any one author I've read a ton of horror by. Like, Stephen Graham Jones is one, Stephen King is another, Daniel Barnett, is one. Brian Bowyer is one. Ross Jeffrey, Michael Clark. Who else? I would put Joseph. Well, Joseph Sells more of a dark fantasy horror blend in his.
Have you read Clive Barker? That's another one I've wanted to try for a long time.
No, I haven't. I've got a couple of his on my list to try. He's one I think is some people like and some people don't, because he writes a lot of gratuitous, is what I've heard it described as.
I've heard he can be pretty erotic, so
yeah, and I'm not into that. So, but I'm gonna try one or two that I was recommended of his, and you know, I've since I've been told that I'm expecting it going in, I'll be ready for it. But if I still don't like it, then I'll just be like, all right, this isn't one for me.
Yeah, I've heard he's good, or either that, or if he's like, or I don't know, something's going on. Taste is such a subjective thing, you know. I don't even know anymore. I just read what I want to read, and if I like it, I like it. If I don't, too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I look at reviews and I do take them into consideration.
Well, of course.
Some people, their shtick is they rant about everything they read. I don't take them seriously about anything. But there are other people that we have a lot of the same books in common that we love. Those are the ones, like, I'm not into the, I'm going to only do negative rant reviews type of channels at all. I like ones that are like, here's my 3 positives, here's my 3 negatives, or something like that. But there's a lot of reviewers that we share a lot of books in common. So when they say, I really love this book, then I'm like, let me add that to my list. But even if they were to say, I don't like this book, but it's one that sounded good to me, I'm still going to try it. I'm just going to have my expectations in the right place.
Well, I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, that doesn't really worry about that stuff anymore, because it's just like, someone's gonna get offended no matter what I do. But at the same time,
no, not true. I've been doing this almost 4 years, and I've never had anything like that happen. But I also, like, if I really don't like a book and I have nothing good to say about it, I don't make a video about it. I'm like, I already spent the time reading it. I'm not gonna waste the time to film and edit and go through all of that trouble over something I didn't enjoy. I mean, I'll talk about it in my Friday wrap-up video or whatever, but yeah, because, depending on, who it is, their fandom can come after you. Like Leanna's Library, she had death threats. She still gets death threats because she didn't like The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and they came after her.
I don't get that. Why I don't want to say that would be bad if I don't take this out of context, but it would be bad to say that there are better things to give death threats over, but don't do it. Why are you... Okay, for one, get help. If you literally send, like, dead ass and death threats over books, like, get help.
Yeah,
like, get psychological help. Like, I'm being for real.
It's just, people have certain things that are important to them, and they're hiding behind a keyboard.
Indeed. What do you use when you edit? I should ask real quick.
Filmora. I use Filmora. A lot of us use Filmora.
Oh, I use oh man, Premiere Pro. Sorry, it was first week of my class this week, so my brain is just mush right now. If you couldn't already tell.
Yeah, Filmora is just super easy and very cheap, so I think that's what most of us use.
Are there any books you're reading right now that you're excited about or you're interested in?
I mean, I've just started the Poison Song, and I've just been rereading One Piece this week. And Poison Song's good. I'm about halfway done with that one, so that'll be the end of that trilogy. But it's still too soon to tell if it's gonna wrap up, how that series is gonna wrap up. So
I thought they've been saying they've been wanting to end that for a couple years now, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably finish that one over the next couple of days.
I don't know. I should also note that what was it? Leanna's library, right? I've also wanted to have her on my show. I remember she got into, like, one of the things I like about BookTube is that there's not like a lot of drama and like everyone gets along for the most part. But
I think you talk to a lot of people will say the opposite.
I haven't met them yet because mostly everyone gets along from what I've seen. I do know she made a video kind of critical of Steven Erikson a few years ago. I remember that.
Yep, some folks. I mean, that was just a series she did not enjoy.
That's the thing. I'm just like it's not like I'll admit I've fallen into this trap, but like I try not to take it too personally. Now I bet I'm gonna get some comments from friends of mine going like, well, you're always hassling me because I don't like this book. I'm like, well, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you can like, I can't believe you don't like this book. I love this book, but yeah, there's
don't send death threats. To reiterate my point from earlier. Don't send death threats.
That's ridiculous. I mean, whenever I see a booktuber, like, if it says rant review on it, I just keep scrolling because I don't like watching rant reviews. Or if I see a booktuber cover a book that I love and I'll pop open the video and they're like, I didn't like it and this is why, I just skip it and move on.
I mean, I've given some I've given some negative reviews. I don't tend to do them because I try to find books that I would like, and generally I do like them, so it's not that, it's not that hard. But sometimes there are the books that just don't, like, for instance, I don't know if you read The Devil Takes You Home, but I didn't like that book.
Bought that book and I was going to read that book, and that author tweeted some things that I thought was really rude. And so I said, you know what? I'm not gonna read this book. I'm gonna sell it on Pango.
Oh, it's not very good. I didn't think it was very good, but I was kind of shocked that it won the Shirley Jackson Award, to be honest, because unfortunately my friend some of my friends have teased me that I should do like a giveaway, because I'm gonna give it away on my channel, or I'm gonna give it to my local bookshop. Because I didn't really like, it had blurbs too. Like, it had blurbs from S.A. Cosby, Paul Tremblay, and Stephen Graham Jones.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, and there's some reviewers I like who enjoyed this book, and I'm like, oh, okay,
I don't bother with blurbs anymore. I'm just gonna go in with my opinion on it, because I mean, they're all friends. They all know each other.
Well, sure, yeah.
And, it comes down to individual taste. And I've never read him before, but there was a lot of hype around that book, so I pre-ordered it. I was like, I'll give it a try.
I won't say if you'll like it or dislike it. I personally did not like it. It was actually one of my first reviews I did when I started my channel back up. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
Yep. I followed him on Twitter, and he said something that I just was like, wow. Like, yeah, I disagree with that. I'm not gonna read this book. It's like,
I was about to say, well, admittedly, I can be a bit of a cantankerous, outspoken gentleman. So, I have been blocked by a few authors on
Oh no, that's not good.
yeah, yeah.
Not for a booktube channel.
Yeah.
You can't be out there getting blocked by authors.
Yeah. No, this was before my booktubing career, but it's happened, and I always think.
Well, I mean, as long as you're, you're not being ugly. I mean, it just.
No, there was one time I'm like, hey, there's this guy. He wrote this comic run that was better than yours, and he blocked me. Which I'm like, you know what? All right, fine. I probably deserved that.
You did.
What?
I would block you over that. That's very rude.
I was about, I kind of laughed. I don't like his writing, and I still haven't checked out any more of his stuff. But I'll admit,
I don't like his writing. Definitely don't.
I was about to say, I'll admit, I probably did deserve that a little bit.
You absolutely deserve that. That is not the way to go about it. And you just want to be careful with that if you want to keep getting authors to send you stuff to read.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be nice with most. I'm nice to most people, so it shouldn't be that hard. But we'll see.
You should be nice to everybody.
I am nice. I am. We all have our not nice moments, though. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I just stay offline on my not nice days. When I'm in a mood, I'm like, I'm just not even gonna get online.
Yeah. Oh Lord,
stuff will hit me wrong, and I'll react, and it's not good.
But yeah, we've been going on for a while now, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer. But I've enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Even though we got into some spicy territory there for a little bit.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do the right thing there and cut it.
I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah,
that's actually never happened before.
Yeah. Well,
I'll probably edit this tonight since I'm thinking about it. But anyway, I don't want to keep you on for too much longer. I've enjoyed this conversation, even though it did get a little spicy there for a minute.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
If you want to share your social media, I like to ask this before we all leave. If you have social media, feel free to share that.
Everything is under the Nerdy Narrative, so that's my website, that's my YouTube channel, all of social media. I am the Nerdy Narrative. So if you Google it, you'll find me. It'll all pop up. Whatever your favorite site is, I'm on there.
All right then. All right, I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm on Twitter and Discord and Letterboxd and Goodreads, which are much more coherent than what you just heard right now. But thank you, Lezlie, for coming on. We should do this again sometime.
Probably next year sometime. I'm taking the rest of the year off.
That's fair. And also, I am since you mentioned that, I am glad that you managed to make time for this, because that would have sucked if you were like, oh no, I'm gonna be on a break. No. You got me before I was shutting things down, because we're gonna be traveling back and forth home. So I was like, all right, I already told him yes. I'm going to film one with him. So. All right. Well, take care, everyone, and until next time.